Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The single best idea. Here's the number one best idea, and I'll be straightforward about it. I did not know this 3 hours ago, 5 days ago. Wednesday's jobs report is a big deal. I did not know that until Claudia Sahm talked to us today. There was no jobs report today because of this brief government shutdown. We only get it 3 or 4 days later, which in the scope of things is not a big deal. This is not like the previous shutdown. But Dr. Sahm made very clear that we're going to see revisions and maybe a real adjustment to what a normal non-farm payrolls rate is. To review, 150,000 used to be normal. We brought that down because of immigration and such, under 100,000. But are we going to revise ourselves down to where 25,000 job growth is normal? All of a sudden, I'm focused on Wednesday. Claudia Sahm has written up a storm on our Fed chairman nominee from New Century Advisors, Claudia Sahm, on Dr. Warsh.
Kevin Warsh may need to start with an apology. He's been pretty tough on the staff and on current Fed officials. You know, it's maybe the campaign to get the job. And I am wholeheartedly agree the Fed can always do better and has made mistakes in the past, and there's ways to change the institution. But he said some pretty fiery stuff about people whose help he's going to need very soon. And I suspect he'll come in and be like, hey, you know, we were colleagues once, we're colleagues again. Let's get to it. And I think the page will turn and off we go. If some of his campaign promises of, you know, breaking heads and laying off a bunch of people, if that happens, I think he'll have a pretty tough first 6 months.
Claudia Sahm and Kevin Warsh, I misspoke. I said Dr. Warsh, and of course that's part of the tension when you have Powell or Warsh who are not PhD economists, and then you have them buttressed up against people like Dr. Sahm who are PhD economists, of which there are many at the Fed. It was a real joy today to get the different opinions on the Fed, and one of them was the gentle lady from Texas, Danielle DiMartino Booth, joined us. She had all her work with President Fisher at Texas years ago, her academics within the University of Texas system. Danielle DiMartino Booth here on the Doves and the future Hawks.
We have seen a much more hawkish tilt come out of the central bank district presidents. Lori Logan, Bloomberg did a great feature on her recently. She's kind of got her own markets desk that I started in Dallas. She keeps that up and running, and she has some very definitive ideas about the balance sheet. I think she would be of the same mind as future Chair Warsh. We need to shrink that balance sheet.
Right.
In fact, I think that most district presidents would concur with that. The trick will be execution, Tom.
Danielle DiMartino Booth there on the path forward for a Fed. And again, a critical jobs report coming up Wednesday with revisions. On a podcast, we're on Spotify. We say good morning to all of you out in the Pacific Rim where Spotify is very popular. On Apple Music and, of course, on YouTube podcasts. It's single best idea.